Hello and welcome to Real Menopause Talk. My guest today is Dr. Monica Williams. It's very clear that Dr. Monica cares deeply for people and their complete well-being. And it seems she always has done. It's written into her DNA. Having trained originally as a paediatrician and worked in family medicine for over 25 years, Dr. Monica now takes care of as many people as she can through functional and integrative medicine. Today we discuss the differences that women of colour may experience when it comes to perimenopause and menopause. Dr. Monica shares her own experience of fibroids and the impact of stress on general health. We talk about how education and being aware and prepared can change the course of someone's physical condition, and how to address concerns around menopause even when they feel taboo, which they often still do, and the importance of making sure that everyone has access to the healthcare that they deserve. It can be really difficult working out what perimenopause is and what is actually burnout or stress or what might be an illness and what is just midlife as we know it. It can be really good to talk this through with an expert, which is why I am offering you Real Menopause Therapy. And for now, subscription is free. Sign up and enjoy half an hour for free as well. You get to handpick your therapist based on matching your health concerns, let's say menopause, with their expertise. Your work environment, so that they understand the unique pressures that you face on a daily basis, and even interests. So you find someone who really gets you. No obligation, no tie-in, just therapy that fits into your schedule and can bring back the real and fabulous you. Go to bit.ly/RM therapy. That's bit.ly/RM therapy with a capital R, capital M, capital T right now. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, Dr. Monica Williams. Dr. Monica, it is a huge pleasure to meet you, having heard a lot about you. Would you like to start by telling everybody here a little bit about yourself, so where you grew up, a little bit about your family, how you came to study medicine, and what you do now?
Well, my name is Dr. Monica J.R. Williams Riley. It's a lot of names, I know, so I go by Dr. Monica. I am born and raised Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I live currently in Atlanta, Georgia. There's a little town called Decula next to Atlanta, Georgia. Wow, the story of how I got here. I can't believe it's been almost 26, 27 years that I've been practicing medicine. I was a little girl in Philadelphia who was raised by a school teacher, a math teacher, and an engineer. And I wanted to do something different. I wanted to be something different that nobody had been before from my eyes and our family. So little did I realize I had an older cousin who was also in medicine, but he was much older than me. So I never really kind of connected the two, that he was in medicine, but nobody in my direct view was a doctor. And so I wanted to do something different. I really loved kids. And so I thought, what does that mean? So looked it up and said, pediatrician. That's what you want to be. So I went about the rest of my life, probably from age 8 on, saying I'm going to be a pediatrician. And everybody just kind of looked at me because we didn't really have anything like that around us. But education was really important to my parents. So going to school and going to college was supposed to happen. What I did with that was up to me. So I went to Tuskegee University in Tuskegee, Alabama, pretty well-known university for all the historical things that have gone on in Tuskegee, as well as the university, and enjoyed myself there. Let's see. Then after that, I went to med school in Nashville, Tennessee at Meharry Medical College. It's where I met my husband at the time and my children's father. And we had an amazing time going to med school together and residency together in family medicine, and moved to Houston, Texas for residency. So I practiced in Houston for 13 years. Gosh, it doesn't even seem like it's been that long, but yeah, 13 years. And then me and my ex-husband were divorced. And then I moved the children to Louisiana. And so in Louisiana, I worked for community health centers there. I was a medical director for community health centers there, like I was in Houston, and really enjoyed just living in the country. And I owned horses in Texas and Louisiana, so I really enjoyed just country life, kind of getting away from the rigors of everyday city life. But I still enjoy being able to kind of get to the city when I wanted to. I'm definitely a combination of my mom and dad. My mom is a city girl, and my dad's a country boy from Jersey, and so I think I got a little bit of both of their loves. And so I practiced in Louisiana for about 8 years, and then the kids were getting older, and it was time to think about going off to college. I have a 24-year-old now. I can't believe it every time I say it, and a 20-year-old. So they're about 4 years apart. But when it was time to go to college, I was like, I probably have to get them to places that are a little bit bigger than where we are right now, for their experience to be ready to be in the big cities because they wanted to go back to the city. So we moved from there to the more city part of Louisiana, right near Ochsner. I worked for Ochsner there near New Orleans. And so we were there for about 3 or 4 of those 8 years of Louisiana. And yeah, at some point I was like, it's time to go home. Some say home is Philadelphia, and it always will be. But Atlanta, Georgia is actually where I've always loved and where I hang out most of the time because my brother lives there as well, which is close to my college, Tuskegee University. And so that was home for me. I always said that I was going to retire in Atlanta. And so it was time to do that. Along the way, I met a really fantastic guy again. And I say again because we knew each other in college. So we've known each other for over 30 years. And so one day at our homecoming, he asked me, would I consider having a conversation about us getting to know each other even better? So I was a little bit hesitant, but over a few years, I kind of went along with it. And so no, we had a really good time courting. He was in California and I was in Louisiana. So I moved to Atlanta, and he followed. He may say differently, but I think COVID got us stuck in the same place. Yeah, so I got married again in 2020 in the midst of COVID. Um, yeah, so that was an interesting wedding in the midst of COVID.
Congratulations.
We've been living here in Atlanta ever since, and currently I'm the owner and CEO of Deep Rooted Health and Wellness Med Spa. So Deep Rooted Health is a wellness med spa. So a lot of people ask me, do you do like fillers and all those things? And at this point, that's not what we do. What I do is I build customized plans. I customize lifestyle plans for motivated clients. And these are clients who want to get either back to health or find a health that they had not realized before. And they regain that by me developing a plan that teaches them about their wellness deficiencies, and or the things that they just never knew that they were needing in their lives. And so by doing that, I give them balance, and I also teach them new innovative ways that they may not have known before about how to live authentic. So that's who I am. That's what I do.
There is so much wonderful there. And I love the fact that you've moved around
Right.
and supported your kids and that you know where your soul home is. I know a lot of people where
Absolutely.
they're born is their home, but I think you can have such a strong connection to a place just by the emotions it evokes or perhaps time you spend there. And getting people back to health. That is something that's come up actually only very recently, is going back to health. I feel we all progress
Mm-hmm.
throughout our lives, or we certainly move in different directions, up and down and sideways. But we often have a memory of feeling really good. So returning to that, even though it might look a bit different, is something that people are very keen to do. Before we start on how you help people get started back on that path, where are you in terms of perimenopause or menopause, and how was it or is it for you?
That's such a great question. And I'm 53 years old. I say that very loud and proud, and I want everybody to kind of scream their age. we have this thing where people always like, oh, you look good for your age. And actually, a patient just last night said that we're the exact same age. And I said, and you look good for your age. I said, we all look good for the age we are. We're supposed to be exactly where we are. And so
Hmm.
I am menopausal. So here's the thing. When I was 40, I had a hysterectomy because of fibroids. And so, when you've had a hysterectomy, you never seem to quite know when menopause has really hit, because we know menopause is actually defined as 12 months with no cycle. Well, at 40, I had no choice. So I hadn't
Hmm.
started not having cycles yet. So we never know kind of exactly when that was. And a lot of times you can kind of calendar it by your family, like your mothers or your sisters, your aunts. But my mom really struggled with her menopause late into her 60s. And so I did not know what that meant for me, but I was really blessed to know my grandmother and my great grandmother. And my great grandmother and grandmother never complained about a hot flash, never said a word. I never knew anything, never talked about menopause. And I watched my mom
Hmm.
really struggle with it. So I am definitely menopausal because I definitely hit the place where I started having hot flashes and had signs of menopause that I, even as a physician, wasn't aware were really, really connected. And that's actually what led me to my path that I'm really on now as I serve women and everyone, but women especially, how they kind of navigate through this time of life. So I am proudly menopausal and am doing well because of the coping mechanisms that I've used for other clients over the years and the things that I've developed even since it's become my own journey.
That's great to hear. And again, a sort of common theme is menopausal is the place to be.
I like.
I'm 50 and my mum didn't become fully menopausal until she was
Mm,
55. But I'm hoping I'm ahead of the curve because I'm ready to say, okay, thanks. I'm
on.
done now.
So when we talk about premenopausal, perimenopausal, and then menopausal. So people need to understand, because that's the other thing, people get really confused about where they are. So perimenopausal is the whole time when you're still having your cycle. Menopause is cycle is done. And postmenopausal is not only a cycle done, but you're done with all of the struggles of it. So everybody's got to find their place. So I call myself menopausal because occasionally I can still feel a hot flash or so, and I'll tell you how I kind of handle all that.
But that would be great to know because one of the things that I have been asked a lot lately is from postmenopausal women who are still
Yeah,
struggling. And it doesn't go away. All the symptoms don't go away overnight. Even if you manage them well, occasionally they'll pop up and
absolutely.
then settle down again. But the further away you get, the more settled you can be. So how do you help people? And there is a lot that I want to address here, particularly when it comes to women of
Yeah,
color, because as I understand it, women of color often experience perimenopause much earlier than their white counterparts, 1 to 4 years
hmm,
earlier. And often it's supposed to be a lot more intense in terms of symptoms, certainly hot flashes. So first of all, can you talk about how you help people get back to their health that they want to regain, and also address the differences for women of color who need much more information than I feel they're getting at the moment?
great. I really appreciate you bring helping to bring this to the forefront, because this is something that we are not talking about enough. The reason why I charted away from conventional medicine in the sense of working for someone else and kind of going along with the going alongs that we usually do is because so in so many ways in medicine we're not fully addressing every medical challenge that comes about. We're kind of putting band-aids on it. Here in the United States we are absolutely putting band-aids on things and kind of pushing the masses through our healthcare system in the name of time and money and trying to get as many people addressed as possible. Now, the only problem with that is that we really miss actually helping people to get better or to actually prevent things from happening. So I'm passionate, always have been, about just really educating people and letting them know the truth about what's going on with them. Because the truth is we have power. And that's what deep rooted health is about. We have
Yes.
actual power to do things, make changes, fix things, and if not, make them 100% better, definitely improved from where we are right now. So that's what I do at Deep Rooted Health and Wellness Med Spa, and it's a med spa because we not only teach people about how to take care of themselves, we do a little kind of treatments to make them feel good along the way. So the treatments that I love to do at the med spa, besides making my customized plans that we do through micronutrient blood work and extensive interview process with them, is that we do things like Cliovana. Cliovana is a therapy where we're able to regenerate or revitalize a woman's sexual health. It's called clitoral restoration, where we give them back the ability to feel vibrant again. We give them back the ability to have orgasms in a way that maybe they've never had, or back to what they remember. We love to see a woman go from scared to be in a relationship at a menopausal age to excited to be in a relationship again. That in conjunction with bioidentical hormone, bioidentical hormones, pelleting, is a combination that goes so well together in my clinic that people just come in for one and then end up adding the next thing to it. And I'm excited about that because we as women have not had the opportunity to talk about what can I do to feel myself again? What can I do to feel better again? Because my mind may say that I want to do something, go run or have a boyfriend or a girlfriend or go and climb Mount Everest. But my body tells me sit down on the couch. And that's the part that we got to change.
The mental aspect of it is so crucial. And yes, there are more recognized symptoms such as anxiety, potentially depression, but there is also that imperceptible shift in how you feel about yourself, like you've just said, or many women certainly go through that sense of loss of self. And again, this is what I keep hearing. You regain that times 100. So you become the person you've always wanted to be. But there is a journey, there is time and effort that goes into all of that. Obviously, you look at the whole picture, the whole woman, and treat them holistically. And you've got your specific treatments, but where would you start?
It's just such a good question because it's so massive for so many people and so overwhelming. Because if you are in menopause, perimenopause, it can feel very overwhelming. You mentioned how this is different in African American community versus our counterpart, our white counterparts. And one of the things that when those questions were first being asked, initially I was like, well, we're all human beings. How could our bodies be different? What does that really mean? And what I noticed in my career, and especially in my clinic, is that what's different is that the stress or the way that the medical community really has addressed African American women and women of color, Hispanic, is in a different way. And because of that, it has also caused us to also have a different entrance into the medical community, meaning that when things start to go awry, we don't have the same conversations. The medical community is not having the same conversations with us. We are not acknowledged as having the ability to be stressed out, having the ability to be overwhelmed. They really look at Black women as being stronger, tougher. You can handle it. And so therefore, it allows people to kind of shudder away or scare away or hide away because they don't feel like their concerns are being addressed. Also, the number one cause of Black women going into that menopausal stage earlier is a surgical cause. We are actually more prone to have hysterectomies, total hysterectomies at an earlier age, somewhat because of fibroids. And if you follow not only Eastern and Western medicine, fibroids are more prone in the African American community. But fibroids have been shown to be caused by stress, and that we don't talk about that enough. And that the imbalances, that was my own journey. I actually have fibroids, and that's how I ended up having hysterectomy. And I sought out all different types of treatment to get the bleeding under control, to get the pain under control. And I ended up going to an acupuncturist and really got educated on my body and why I was in the situation that I was in. It's true transparency. It's actually one of the things that really pushed me towards getting my divorce, because he really laid out for me that you are not balancing your life, right? You're trying to fix things that you are out of control of. And it was a real amazing learning experience for me. And so I had to really take a good look at my life and find out what was I holding on to that just wasn't serving me. And the crazy story is that soon after I got my divorce, I didn't have my hysterectomy at that point, but all of my pain resolved. Still had the fibroids that had accumulated over years and years of stress, but all my pain had resolved. So ended up still having the hysterectomy, but we have to understand that the things that society puts in front of us that we deal with absolutely have an impact on how we move through the world. So how we have hot flashes, how we have night sweats, memory loss, which is something else that I really struggled with and didn't really know how connected it was to my hormones. Um, those are things that truly are a reflection of our lives. And as African American women, we really are still struggling with kind of accommodating those things on a daily basis. Society is not helping much because we are still dealing with, racial issues and racial stresses, and so those things are having an impact on how African American women are moving through this process.
I'm sorry to say that it is the same in the UK as well, and I believe in other countries too. And we are all making steps to change that, obviously.
Yes.
Stress is well known to exacerbate all kinds of symptoms and illnesses. Not that menopause is an illness, but fibroids, can they be avoided? And if it is so common in the African American community, then when is the point at which you need to see a doctor?
Can they be avoided is an excellent question. So there's a lot of studies, and we work with clients all the time that, yes, I would dare say that fibroids can be avoided. And that's probably going to shake a lot of people up because, we like to tell people in the medical community that, this is nothing that you did. There's nothing you could have done about this. But there's a lot that we could do about a lot of things. And it's not a blame game. It's about an education. So we've definitely shown a lot of research and a lot of clients who have benefited from change in diet as a cause for reduction or prevention of fibroids. So meaning people who have a diet that's more heavy in the meats, the animal meats, have been shown to have more fibroids, and whether that be because of the meats being, laden with hormones and chemicals and things like that. But it's definitely been shown to cause regression of fibroids or prevention of fibroids for people who are have a more vegetarian lifestyle. So that's important. As I said before, stress. Learning how to manage stress at a young age. I was just doing an interview about young people, college, high school and college, and learning about, learning about your body and learning about what makes you tick, and having activities that you do that would allow you to release stress or not hold on to it, such as meditation, yoga. And I will say our young women are definitely doing a better job, I think, than our generation did of not holding on to everything and being a lot freer with their thoughts and being a lot freer with their energy. So we're just encouraging them to exercise and to find things that make them feel good about who they are. So those are things that I would tell people: do the preventive things, and don't wait till it gets to the point where you're bleeding so much, you're having so much pain that it's causing you not to want to do the things you love.
Great advice. So thank you for that. When you do, certainly as a woman of color, get to a medical professional, if you feel as though you're not being taken seriously, what advice do you have for them so that they feel seen and heard and taken seriously?
Well, the first thing I think I really appreciate you saying is that it's not a disease. Menopause is not a disease. It is a stage of life that every woman goes through. Um, Everybody goes through it differently. So no one's right or wrong. But for those of us who have suffered in some way or another, whether it be hot flashes, night sweats, anxiety, mood swings, sleep interruption, there are definitely things that can be done that will help you to kind of navigate that pathway. Now, if you go to your doctor and you have these symptoms and they look at you like you're crazy because they're like, oh, it's just getting older, don't worry about it, walk away. walk away, because that's not acceptable. And I tell people this all the time, you have the right to ask questions. Don't be apologetic about having questions. Don't be apologetic about not needing more information. And so if you find that you don't get your questions answered or you don't feel heard, then I really encourage you to keep looking. Keep looking. There's so many different type of practitioners out there now. I'm a board certified family medicine physician, but we have naturopaths who have studied different ways. Functional medicine is a specialty that I also love and practice as well. But functional medicine doctors may be more open to hearing your symptoms and be open to treating you in a way that is more holistic. But if you can find someone who's treating patients holistically or listening to all of the areas that you're talking about, that's when you know you found your person.
And you are so right. We have power and knowledge is power. So finding out as much as you possibly can so that you can go armed with information about yourself to your doctor and educate yourself as much as possible. Oh, it's so important.
Absolutely.
Like you said earlier as well, not every medical practitioner is aware of how to manage this phase of our life. This happens all the time to me. I did have a point and then it just falls out of my head.
That's called brain fog, right?
Yes. It's one of the things I hate the most because it makes me feel like such a marshmallow.
So I know exactly what you're talking about. That was one of the main reasons why I started getting bioidentical hormone pellets. It really, I couldn't understand why. I had so much that I had to do at work, especially. Couldn't remember numbers. Things would just kind of float out of my head. And I was just thinking, like all of us are told, you're getting older, you're stressed. But the truth of the matter, our hormones have so much to do with that thought process. So testosterone in particular, which is not something we don't talk about, women and testosterone, our testosterone levels and estrogen levels not being balanced can cause you to feel like you are losing your mind.
It does. It truly does. So what is the difference between the BHRT and the MT and the MHT? I know so many people have different initials for their hormonal therapy. What is the difference between the one that you offer and the one that people are more commonly aware of?
BHRT stands for bioidentical hormone therapy. And then HRT is hormone replacement therapy, which is what conventionally people hear about. So BHRT, bioidentical hormone therapy, a lot of people think it's a new science or it's a new fad, but BHRT and pelleting has been around since the 1940s. So this is something that actually was very popular, used for women who had radical hysterectomies and really controlling symptoms that we're talking about. It wasn't until about 1949 when the pharmaceutical industry came along and Prempro and Premarin came around, and that was kind of initiated into the society as if, no, this is the new best thing. Well, as we all know, the story as the story goes, then all of a sudden hormones were given this horrible name because of all the cancer that was now being found. So what they never cleared up was that bioidentical hormones had never gone out of style. They had never gotten any bad rap or it had gotten any bad publicity, and they continued. The problem was they weren't well known to everyone. And so that's another area where different communities did not get the information. They didn't get the memo. Minority communities in particular, because they're not covered by insurance. And so because they're compounded in compounded pharmacies, which are wonderful places that have even higher regulations than conventional pharmacies, people didn't know about them. And so because they're compounded there, they're cash-based treatment therapy. And so economics sometimes gets in the way of women knowing about those things. But the difference is that they actually are more chemically matched to our natural hormones of estrogen and testosterone. So they come from plants, sometimes soy, sometimes yams, and they are then able to mimic what our own bodies would naturally do with estrogen and testosterone. So that's why they work better, they're safer, and the pellets are great because we put them right underneath your skin and they absorb into your bloodstream, and so your blood levels are much more stable than a cream or a tablet that you would take versus the other hormones that are synthetic and made from animals, and they really have bad effects on us, as we've found long term, and they've really caused people to shy away from hormone replacement therapy. So I really try to differentiate the two for my clients and educate them about the health benefits of hormone replacement, because there really are a lot of health benefits to having balanced hormones, including improved cardiovascular health, which African Americans are absolutely at risk for.
And it's not FDA approved, but you have different regulations?
It's interesting. It's kind of a nuance. They're FDA approved, but the hormone itself isn't. So it's the process is not FDA approved, but the hormone is. So it's kind of a fine line there. As I said before, they've been around for a very long time, even longer than synthetics, and they have still been around and have not been taken away from us. Thank goodness.
So that's another area that we all need to be educated on, because again, there is so much conflicting advice depending on where you look. So go to somebody who
Absolutely.
knows so that you can get information
Yes.
that is correct and up to date.
Please, because you will go to a lot of physicians, MDs, and they will try to shy you away, only because they just don't know. They haven't been educated. It's not something I learned in med school. It wasn't talked about in med school. These are some things that you're going to have to do some continuing education on if you are not coming from a school of health that is teaching those type of things. So many parts of women's health is not being taught in medical school. Mental health, those signs of menopause that we don't hear about, so that we understand that those things can be adjusted and treated with treatment for your menopause, not just hot flashes.
There is an awful lot that we don't hear about. Partly this is because menopause and certain aspects of it in particular are viewed very much as a taboo still. And whether this is cultural or historical, there are all sorts of reasons. I have literally had women, when they ask what I do, and men, and I say I'm a menopause consultant and I have this podcast about menopause, they turn around and walk in the opposite direction because they don't want to talk about it. So where would you go if you didn't have the knowledge that you do now to find some information in perhaps a discreet way? Because, like you said earlier, every woman or every female born will go through this phase of life.
Sure. So this is where the internet can be helpful. We always, the internet gets a bad rap. Google gets a bad rap. But I would say to you, seeking out a woman physician possibly could be helpful. And I hate to be sexist in that way, but women know what women go through. So male gynecologists have been kind of in the forefront for a very, very long time. And this is no shade for my male counterpart physicians, but I will say that as a woman, having, even before I was in this stage of life, I had compassion and understanding that there could be a difference. So that's the first thing. But then also looking for the one that specializes in this stage of life. Functional medicine doctors are often the ones that are really out here in the forefront. So that's one of the reasons why I decided to start specializing in functional medicine along with family medicine, because it kind of married well together. But we really look at the whole person and the whole body, and we look at the deficiencies as a whole and how they affect you, and how they affect how you move through the world. So I think functional medicine evaluation is another great place to look. And naturopaths, I have to give them their kudos, because they're doing a lot of great work with body function and balance, and looking at other alternative ways that you can absolutely have a better lifestyle, better livelihood.
Dr. Monica, to finish up, if there was one lesson that menopause has taught you, what would you say that was?
I say the best lesson that menopause has taught me is that never give up. I have been so blessed with my practice, and I never knew what 50 was going to feel like. When I was a young girl, I would say 50 was going to be that, you were over the hill and you were finished. And it is absolutely opposite. I get to every day for myself live vibrantly, live on fire, chasing new dreams. I get to treat women who are doing the same. I get to use Cliovana to help women revitalize their sex lives and have the type of energy and enthusiasm for sex that they never had before. I get to use bioidentical hormones to make them feel like they've never felt before. So I really would tell women, it's never too late. This is where life begins and not ends. So let's go.
Wonderful. And yes, I couldn't agree more. This is where it all begins.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much for your time. Where can people find you?
Well, I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia. We're right here in Lawrenceville, right outside of the city, and we are a Deep Rooted Health and Wellness Med Spa. My website is www.deeprootedhealth.org. We are on Instagram with Dr. Monica at deep_rooted_health. You can find us on Facebook as well with Dr. Monica at Deep Rooted Health. Come and find us. We're everywhere. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I have enjoyed this so much.
It's been lovely talking to you. It really has. And I will put all the details in the show notes. So thank you again for your time. Enjoy your time with your daughter.
Thank you so much. I don't get a chance to get to the city much, so it's a good chance to hang out with her for a little bit before I head back to Lawrenceville to see some patients. So thanks so much. It was a great opportunity.
I will put all the details about Dr. Monica and where to find her in the show notes. And one final note about Real Menopause Therapy. Subscription is currently free, and your first half an hour with the therapist of your choice, even if you don't click immediately, then you can try somebody else also for half an hour for free. Go to bit.ly/RM therapy. That's bit.ly/RM therapy with a capital R, capital M, capital T. Thank you for listening. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.